Hi guys, this is Tamara. I'm back with another video today. Thank you so much for those of you who have subscribed and have been on this channel and have been participating. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are not subscribed, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button right over there. So then that way you can stick around with us as we pick and pull apart some really important topics with psychology. What I love about this channel is that we don't have to put on, we don't have to be humorous, we don't have to be extra. We can be ourselves and we can have very real conversations on this channel, and it's working. We're growing hourly every single day, and I think it's so cool. So thank you so much for that. Today's topic is going to be parental mental illness, and I want to explain to you and kind of define what it is, what it looks like, how to deal with it, and what are the signs that you have a parent that has a severe mental illness. So the benefits for you today in this video is that I'm going to define parental mental health, and I want to give you some things to think about, all right? So when you think of parental mental health, what do you think? Do you think that this is a situation where, you know, a mother brings a baby into this world and she has a little bit of postpartum depression, or she has some postpartum acute stress, right? Or she has some kind of psychosis and difficulty kind of managing her role as a mom? Is that what you think of when you hear about parental mental health? If so, you're not alone. I actually do parenting groups, some online in my state and then some at my practice. And one of the things I noticed is that a lot of parents think that, you know, parental mental health starts at the time when a mother gives birth. And as a matter of fact, it doesn't. It typically begins before and sometimes after that mother gives birth. So we're not talking about postpartum anything. We are really talking about the individual as a person who has a mental illness, had never gotten help for it, or had help but it didn't last long, or it really wasn't effective, I should say. And we're also talking about the parent who became a parent and along the way became ill. Okay, so I want to make that distinction. So when you're thinking about parental mental health, I want you to think of two very important things. One is duration, and the other is intensity. So what's the duration of that mental illness, right? How long did this individual have this problem? And then you also want to look at the intensity, which is how intense was it? And you can even bring that down to a measurement, right? So on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, where was my parent in terms of their mental health? And there are signs and symptoms of parental mental health, or poor parental mental health, I should say, that you should be aware of and that you probably have experienced, those of you who have a mother or a father or a caretaker, or any kind of a parent, adopted, foster parent, who had a mental illness. The sad part is that a lot of people miss when a parent has a mental health concern, because they automatically believe that if you're a parent, you must be stable, and that is not true, right? A parent is a human. A father is a man and was once a boy, right? A mother is a woman and was once a girl. We don't know what their life consisted of, and we don't know how they think and process if we're looking at it from the outside, if we're looking at it externally. We also, as mental health professionals, as teachers and other people working in society, we look at parents as heroes and godsends and loving and compassionate and supportive. What we fail to realize is that not every parent is that way. Some parents have a mommy dearest kind of parent. But I want to point out some things in terms of mental health that parents struggle with, and I want to point out some signs and symptoms that a parent has a mental illness. So I do want to encourage you to think about mental illness on a spectrum and not necessarily like a category. So what I mean by that is you want to think of parental mental health on that scale from 1 to 10, and you want to conceptualize it as, where can I sit my parent or caregiver on that spectrum? How sick were they and how sick weren't they? Okay, that'll kind of give you some idea as to how to measure this parental mental health. But the first sign, okay, I'm sorry guys, I get so distracted, and if like stuff is on my desk in front of me, I can't concentrate, so I apologize. But the first sign of parental mental health, I think, starts in the relationship between the father and the mother. So I'm going to say the number one sign is a poor relationship with the parent. the other parent, the co-parent, right? A poor relationship with the husband or a poor relationship with the wife. One of the things I see when parents come into my practice is that they say, here's my kid, fix my kid. I talk to the kid and I recognize that, oh, wait a second. The kid actually is a product of the relationship between the mother and the father. And so if I work with the mother and the father, the issues with the kids will be eliminated or at least decreased or minimized in some fashion. So I think that's the number one sign of parental instability or poor mental health, is just that inability to make things work with the other parent. And that could be toxic, right? It could be codependent. It could be a situation where a PFA has been taken out. It could be a situation where both parents supply drugs to each other. They're drug dealers, whatever, drug seekers, right? It could be a thing, just, a fling, right? We get together every now and then to be intimate, and then that's that. The kids know that, and we all live a happy life apart, right? So the parental system and that relationship between the mother and the father can be very unstable. And I think that that's one of the major issues for kids in today's society. And probably if you have a parent that's unstable, probably in your own parent's life, just the fact that they couldn't get along with the other parent and it was very toxic. All right, so I think that's number one. The second thing is attachment issues. How attached emotionally and psychologically were they to their own parents, right? Did they have a healthy attachment, or was it an unhealthy attachment? Was there a parent and a child, or was there a parent and a child where the parental system is on the same level as the child? There's no authority, right? And not yesterday, I'm sorry guys, last Friday, my days run together. Last Friday, I did a video on traumatic communication or traumatic relationships between the parent and the child. And I think I stated in that video that authoritarian and permissive and neglectful parenting is often a toxic kind of a parent-child relationship, because there's no authority, right? There's a parent and then there's a child and they're on the same level, or there's typically a parent down here and the child's above running the show. So I think attachment issues is a major issue when it comes to having a very unstable parental and child relationship. Okay, so I recognize that in many of my families, the attachment issues, the fact that the parent can't attach to their own child signals to me that there's a problem with the parent, whether that's emotional or mental. I don't know. That's for me to assess. But there's typically something wrong when there's some attachment issues, okay? Physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, verbal abuse, bullying, harassment of one's child. That's another sign that the parent has a mental health concern or a mental illness. Not being able to raise the child, but intentionally inflicting harm. CYF may have been called, or Child Protective Services, multiple times. Schools may have had concerns. There may be truancy and delinquency and fire setting in the kid. The kid may be causing fires or starting them in the home. There's probably drug activity, prostitution, parties, all that kind of stuff. The parents are always high and drunk. Those kind of really fast-paced lifestyles and households typically signal to me that there's something wrong with the parent, whether that's emotional or psychological. There is something wrong. Okay, so that's another sign. I also have listed here emotionally detached parents. I'm going to post a video up here that I did last year about that. An emotionally detached parent is what I define as a parent who's incapable of rising to the height of their responsibility. They're incapable of being the parental system that they need, that the child needs, They are incapable of meeting the child's psychological and emotional needs, right? They're on the same level as the child. They may be permissive or neglectful. They may be uncaring. And in some situations, they're authoritarian, but they have no real power, right? They yell, they scream, they threaten. They may even physically assault and abuse, but they have no real authority. The kids are still out of control. All right, so that emotionally detached parent and that equal parent-child relationship, that often signals to me that something is terribly wrong. Another sign that I have written here is frequent contact with Child Protective Services. That's another sign that you have a very unhealthy parent. The fact that Child Protective Services is constantly coming to your home or going in and out of that house, there's something going on with that parental system. There are some situations where, you know, the other parent is vindictive and they may call Child Protective Services just to get back at one parent. Or the school may have suspicion, or some other authority and not know what to do, which results in calling Child Protective Services. But what I'm really talking about in this video is a very unhealthy and psychologically unstable parent, somebody who's not capable of rising to the height of their responsibility as a parent. And those kind of parents need a lot of help, because a lot of them don't believe that they need help and that they have a problem. Most of them believe that they are just fine. And it takes the child to actually step out and ask for help to really be sought, or help to come into the child's life. So I want to ask you this. Have you experienced this with your parent? Have you had a parent that's psychologically and psychiatrically unstable? And if so, what did that do to you? So I welcome your comments and your questions in the comment section below. Thank you so much for being with me in this video today. Bye-bye.